Since we began this process last year, this new carpet pad with foam underneath has shown up, and it really saved us tons of time because it allowed us to use it as a template for cutting the wood, and it was immeasurably helpful. Works great as the base layer.
All right, Spring 2022, shooting down to Laurel, Mississippi. The van is back together again, receiving a floor upgrade, minor floor upgrade. It's pretty major when you step on it. We put down the same old vinyl on top because we're not totally sure of that yet. But everything's back. Next is electronic upgrade. That will happen between spring and summer trip. So we've gotten those pieces coming in, and that's what we'll work on. There's the power plant that will go in, the fan for the roof, and a variety of miscellaneous electronic stuff that needs to come in. Still need the battery and some wires coming in. Quite a few things still coming, but we're getting ready. Hi, I thought I'd better explain to you our version of adventure camping and why this thing is kind of essential. I kind of learned it from my wife. I came from campers who went and made reservations, and there were a couple stories early on in our marriage where we misjudged the time it would take us to get to a location. Mostly because as we drove, we stopped at things we liked or were interesting, and I learned from my wife that the vacation was not necessarily the destination, but the trip to the destination as well. And so it always took longer than it was supposed to. And that made it stressful and hard. And so we ended up beginning not to do any reservations. And as we got to the time when we should stop, we started looking. And that caused some problems for our kids. They didn't always appreciate that, but they have come to appreciate it now as adults. And with this here, the stress of finding something is not hard at all. There's always a place that we can stop. And we had our previous camping experience that we had a pop-up camper that we pulled along. And we had some traumatic times where we stopped in Boston Gardens for one, and we had to find two spots, one for the camper and another one for the car. And we had to separate in order to be able to stop, or going through New York City, or just countless of times. And so pulling something was not what we wanted either. We had a early experience with a Vanagon that my parents had. And just being able to pull off, and everything was there, and we could sit and we could make meals or do whatever was very interesting and exciting. And so we always had that in the back of our minds. And so now we have this, and we're converting this into something like that. We decided early on that we wanted to live in what we were making so that we didn't make mistakes. And so we are moving along in the process here. We upgraded the flooring, as you heard, and the next thing will be adding electrical in a different way, in a more sustainable way. Last summer we went up to Colorado, and there were many times when we didn't have electrical, and so that made it challenging. This electrical will have battery backup and batteries charged by the vehicle and um, multitudes of stuff like that. So we will be able to be off the grid and still be fine with whatever we wanted. Um, anyway, thought you might like to know that.